Okay, welcome to Green Means Business. Joining me today is Toby Radcliffe, co-founder of ZeroBees. Toby's worked with practices all over the UK, helping them become or embed sustainability into their practice. So, yes, if anyone knows how sustainability and business performance overlaps in dentistry, it's Toby. Toby, welcome.
Hi, George. Thanks for having me.
I want to start here, which is, and I hear this a lot, well, I'd love to become more sustainable, but I just can't afford it. So I kind of almost, with you, I just kind of want to challenge that. Like, is it possible, I guess, to become more sustainable without having to spend a penny? And, is it even possible to save money doing it that way as well?
Yeah, I think that's completely possible. But it's about defining, for me, it's about defining sustainability properly. So if you think about sustainability just as buying new green stuff, then it's going to be hard to do it without spending money. But actually, if you think about it as running your practice with less waste, with fewer unnecessary resources, with better systems, those things are all things that you can do from behavioral changes, from operational changes that actually can save you money and time. I think the biggest, maybe the biggest mistake that people assume is that it always starts with capital investment, like solar panels, equipment, product swaps. And yes, those might be things that you want to do later on, but they're definitely not the place to start.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm a practice owner. I haven't made that jump to embedding sustainability into the practice. What can I do? Where do I start? How do I action it?
Yeah. So I think when we think about if you haven't yet started thinking about sustainability, there's two things to think about. Actually, one is that like a study I think in 2024 versus one in 2015 showed that the average dental practice is actually from a carbon point of view emitting about 30% more than it did 10 years ago. So actually,
is that a post-COVID thing as well? Like, is that?
Yeah, so it's things have changed, right? So we're using more single-use plastics, we're using more air conditioning and thinking about the airflow around our practices more. So we're doing a lot of things which are actually kind of moving us away from sustainability and actually making operational more costly.
That's quite a substantial increase.
Yeah. So by thinking about it, actually what you're going to do is potentially you're going to start to mitigate some of that increase that's naturally happened and think about actually, well, do we need to spend this money? Do we need to do these things? Do we need to reassess what it is that we do day to day in our practice to try and, one, bring us back down, and two, just be more efficient? So if we think about like single-use plastics, so and there's two sides to waste. One is what you use, and then the second part is how you get rid of it. So when you think about what you use, the average appointment, when you lay out the tray, there's 21 single-use plastic items on it on average. Are they all necessary? So that's a place to start, right? Actually, do we need all of these to be on the tray? Do we need them all to be single-use plastic? Can they be washable? Can they be things that last longer than one use? And then the second part of that is, well, one, can we reduce the amount that's going in the waste? But two, are we streaming it right? So the introduction of the tiger bags, that's a whole move towards lower cost waste disposal rather than what would have gone into clinical waste, which is really expensive to get rid of. Are we managing that in the practice better? Are we doing what we just used to do, or are we adapting and streaming things so that we minimize our waste spill when all that waste is collected?
Actually, what you're saying is, if I'm right in thinking this, is that actually sustainability fundamentally is about saving money in a way, because you're reducing waste, you're turning off energy when energy is not needed, right?
Yeah, I think for me, sustainability is about like the environment, society, and business as well. So if it's not financially sustainable, then you're not really going to, it's going to be hard to make all three parts of that work. So yes, the first thing, like the kind of hierarchy, just like there's a waste hierarchy, right, of reduce, reuse, and recycle. For sustainability more broadly, if the first decision you can make is, do we need to buy this? Do we even need this to be like this, or can we do something else or not use it at all? So using less energy is a natural first step in your kind of sustainability journey. So we get very used to just having things on or having things on standby. So that switch off order that you talked about, the light bulb, if you have 8 60-watt light bulbs that run 10 hours a day when you don't necessarily, that's £150 a year in your electricity bill. So thinking about turning off lights in the evening or not having them on when the daylight's good, or thinking about your standby equipment, what's just left on overnight that doesn't need to be on. All of those things are drawing electricity unnecessarily and effectively costing you money.
We mentioned this, I think it was a previous chat, just looking at some of the notes. You had a stat, I can't find it. You had a stat which was the difference between LED lights and halogen lights. And just as a lot of people don't really. Again, what I'm trying to get at is, if a practice owner is looking to make one step or whatever, a step into becoming a more sustainable practice, not that they may not even realize that the lights are halogen and switching them to LED is going to make a carbon impact, but a cost saving impact. So you had a stat, I can't find it anyway, but you had a stat which was about what the cost saving would be.
Yeah, it was so for your lighting bill, you could effectively halve your lighting bill from switching to LED rather than halogen. So every LED light that you have, yes, it costs a little bit more to buy a bulb, but actually it lasts a lot longer. So the payback is immediate, effectively, and it then draws a lot less electricity to have the same amount of light. So it's just it's just really good practice just to switch out your halogens to LED lights. I mean, I'd do it when the bulbs go, right? Don't swap them out early. But every time you buy a new bulb, don't ever buy a halogen bulb again.
How would you? We're talking about making a move, just one move to becoming more sustainable for free with very low effort, just to get momentum going. How would you? What advice would you give practices to do that?
Yeah, 100%. I would. So like at the end of the day or some point, on a normal practice day that you've got a moment, take somebody, like it might be from reception, it might be the practice manager, somebody who's enthusiastic about sustainability, and do a walk around. And I just start with making observations and kind of looking at, okay, what are there any lights that are on that don't need to be on? When we put out trays, what do we see on there that's we don't necessarily need to do? What is on standby? What hotspots do we see that are either think we're costing us money or using electricity or energy or just creating waste unnecessarily? And kind of just write down those observations and then pick one and take it to the weekly team meeting and talk about it with everyone in the practice and say, what are we going to do about it? We think we're going to do this, or how could we change it? So everyone's on board with that one change. And then if you could do that like once a week for the rest of the year, you could make 52 small changes across the practice. And the critical thing is about making sure that everyone's on board with it, knows why you're doing it, what's happening, and that they're engaged with it. So it's not just you trying to add it to your list as running the practice day to day. It's that everybody's involved in the process.
I feel like that's sometimes the hardest bit is you kind of want to start with anything. You kind of want to start something, but if you're not an expert in it, like how do you know what you're looking at?
We've got a one-pager which kind of gives you that kind of worksheet, I guess, to fill out and some tips and examples on it so that you can just use it once a week or whenever you need to. But the key thing is getting from what it is you've seen through to the action and through to the owner and the time that you're going to do it in. So that's the kind of simple framework that we use.
It would be super if we can have that available for people watching this. Thank you. I'll leave a link in the comment section for people to download it. That would be amazing. Thank you. And again, if you have that sheet that people hopefully can use from your stuff, there's going to be a champion, someone who leads it. Then you start to, I guess, within the team build momentum, and then maybe looking at, in the future, putting a roadmap together about kind of when we can look to do more investment. Because, and we'll talk about this on another show, and it's, you and I are probably going to have many of these. Today was all about what can you, is it true that you could become more sustainable without spending a penny? But I do want to look at, when you mention sustainability and an investment, with any investment you expect a return on that investment. But I feel like there's a lot that assume that sustainability is just an expense and you have to be planet over profit. Okay, so to wrap up, one last thing. If I'm a practice owner, let's say, and I'm watching this. What is the one kind of key takeaway that you want them to leave with?
It is to do that practice walk around. Have a look at what's left on unnecessarily, at what you're putting out by default, at what's going the wrong waste stream, if there's any stock that's near expiry, or if you could streamline how you work with your patients. Write those down and then pick one and make that change at your team meeting this week.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Toby. Thanks so much for your time, as ever. I'm sure we'll see you on another episode in due course.
Looking forward to it. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.